Join the team.
Meow. Okay, so I'll never do that again, promise. Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at Quest for the Antidote. Now, this is a brand new title from Upper Deck, and I'll say is new for them in this space. So, you might know Upper Deck in the board game area for things like Legendary. I do have that game right up here. They've got multiple versions of that game in the Marvel Universe. They've also got a Big Trouble in Little China edition of Legendary. And you may see more different types of Legendary games coming out in the future. But this right here is a first for Upper Deck from what I would consider kind of, what we would say, quote-unquote, board game. So I saw this at Origins, and we got to sit down and play with the designer. They did have the designer there at Origins 2017. And we sat down, played a game with some other folks that had walked up. And I really found it interesting. It is a very fun game. This is going to be one of those more simplistic type games where you are going to be rolling in kind of what I would consider kind of a spin on the classic track or path game. We're going to be kind of moving around these paths on the board and encountering various monsters as well as other players you'll be dueling, going for ultimately these antidotes from various different areas of the board, and we'll explain that here when we get into a little bit of what gameplay looks like. You're trying to gain all of the components of an antidote that you've been kind of poisoned with. And on the outside here, you're going to, every time you move in combat, that's going to take breaths or kind of life away from you. And basically the premise of the game is you need to go out, adventure, find the components of the antidote that you need, and make it back to the center kind of in-town area right here before you run out of the 50 breaths. And that's kind of the overview of what the gameplay is going to look like. So it's very straightforward, very simple. If we look here on the box, it is a 2 to 6 player game. So you can get 6 in on this one. I love that whenever they can take it all the way to 6. And it's 45 to 90 minutes and ages 13 plus. Now, I have found with this title that my 8-year-old plays this game perfectly fine. Again, it is a fairly straightforward roll the die and then move that many times, or roll the die. Combat is as simple as just a roll versus a roll if you're dueling, or you basically just roll one of these D10s right here against a monster, and the monsters, will look at those cards, have a little number on them that will indicate, what number you need to beat that to be able to successfully kind of win that battle. So it's very straightforward from that perspective, and my 8-year-old had no problem whatsoever reading the cards and interacting with this game. She actually won the game when we did the demo there at Origins. Before we get into a component overview here and what gameplay and setup looks like, I do want to say we are doing another giveaway on this title. So this one will work much like we've done all of our other giveaways. You do need to be a subscriber of the channel. You need to comment below. And on August the 15th, we will select one subscriber who has commented below, and that subscriber will receive a brand new copy of Quest for the Antidote shipped to them for free. That will come from Upper Deck. So we'll pick that on August the 15th. That'll be right during our Gen Con 50 week. And once that individual is selected, I will reach out, obtain the shipping information, and we'll go from there. So if you definitely want to get in on potentially getting a free copy of this game, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, comment below, and you'll be entered immediately in the drawing to be able to get Quest for the Antidote. I do want to check out the rulebook as well, as I think they did an excellent job with the rulebook on this game. So it does start off with like this sort of comic-like series that really cues up the backstory and the story of the game, which I thought was kind of an interesting, fun way to do that. And then it will go right into, how to play the game, how to set up the game. Really nice layout with text and pictures there to very quickly set up the game. It's a really quick read. Again, this is a very simple, straightforward game. You'll see each page follows that same format and look. And then another thing I thought was really nice is at the very end here on the back last page is actually alternate ways to play. And there are quite a few of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 alternate ways to play this game, of which we have kid-friendly version where you can take out the meddling cards and play more of a kid-friendly version. There's also a cooperative play, so if you wanted to play cooperatively or even solo play, you could do that, and there's a rule set here to be able to do that, where you will be removing the meddling cards as well as having to try to complete the game within 25 breaths. So that's a very interesting, kind of challenging way to play the game. And I find that fun because if you wanted to solo this game, you could do that. So it does have solo rules. Flip-flop play, around the world play, sweet play, sour play, winner takes all play. So I'm not going to read each one of those, but there are 7 different ways to play the game and modify the game. And I like that they took the time. And I like when any gaming company takes the time to add in alternate rule sets to the game. It just gives you a better level of replayability, variability, and makes it more open for larger audiences, much like when they have in this one the kid-friendly play. Again, my 8-year-old plays this game as is, perfectly fine. So with removing those meddling cards, you could even bring children in that are younger than that age group. And they'll have a great time. So this is a great family game. So let's take a look quickly at the components that we have here. You will see that it is a nice big board, and this is not a, an old quad board. This is actually in 6 pieces, so it is a 6-fold, I like to call it. This is a larger board you will see on the table, which I think works well when you're going to have 6 players. I'm glad that they actually did go with a little bit of a larger board here and give us a little bit of larger artwork as well. And I will say, as we're talking about the board, I do really like the artwork that's in this game, and specifically on the board. It's kind of got that classic pencil hand-drawn look to it. The colors are nice. I do really like the art on this board. It is cool. It's got that sort of adventure-y kind of feel to it. And that's another reason why I do actually enjoy this game quite a bit. We've played this game quite a bit, and my kids both really like this game, especially my daughter. And I think it's because, one, it's easy to get into, it's easy to play, and at the same time, it's got that adventure questing feel. And I'm kind of biased or a little bit of a sucker for those types of games that have that theme. I really love games, and you'll see on other reviews that I've done, I tend to really like games that have sort of that adventuring style, pathing, questing type adventure to them. And this title definitely has that in a very, very simple, straightforward way. So you will see that there are cards on the board, and these are the cards that are going to be on the board throughout the course of gameplay, and these are our monster cards. Bear, go ahead and load the video. We can get an overview of the board here as well as the monster cards. Okay, thank you, Bear, for loading that. He's been off lately, so it doesn't always, Good job today, buddy. You're doing good today. So if we take a look at these cards, what we're going to find on this card is sort of an image and an overview of the card. This one here is the Wicked Trickster. It says, a rascal and swindler of the first degree. This cruel clown is not to be trusted. Do not fall for his perplexing riddles and treacherous traps. And it's got a nice little image of the Wicked Trickster, and then it actually lists out the level there. And that's very small. You'll want to reference that video we've got up there. It will show exactly what's on these cards. But the most important thing is the little number right up here to the top corner, because that is kind of the combat value. So if you were to encounter the Wicked Trickster here, you would roll this d10, and this one is a level 5, and you would roll and you say, oh, I rolled an 8. So that means you have beaten the Wicked Trickster. So anything that's of that level that's on there or above is an automatic win. If you roll anything lower, you do have the choice to continue combat. So you can continue round after round after round if you want to, or you can stop. And really the trade-off there is every time you go for another round of combat, you use another one of your breaths. So again, every time you roll the movement die, you use a breath, and every time you combat, you use a breath. So that's how that will work. So you kind of balance that over the course of gameplay. And within these cards, you are going to find 2 level 10 monsters. So the monsters do range, and they do different things. So some of the monsters that are upwards to the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, they may have text under sort of their flavor text where they will offer up various pieces of loot. They will offer up these drop cards that we have over here. You'll find that's going to be the cards that are on the board. And now we'll move up here, and we do have the drop cards here. So these are cards, and there's 8 of them. These will be various things you'll be able to acquire when you fight certain types of monsters. So the heart of the machine, and it does something here. It says that if victorious, you are able to reprogram the killbot to defend any 2 future monsters that are level 8 or below without costing you any breaths. So you got the Knight's Sword and Shield, you got the Dragon Wing Glider, the Scene Stone, Battle Worn Staff, and it goes on and on. There's all kinds of cool items that you can pick up over the course of the game. We also have loot cards here. So when you begin the game, and we'll just do that now, you're going to take these loot cards and you're going to shuffle them up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take randomly 4 of them, and you're going to place them on each one of the corners of the board. And those will be things that you can choose as you play to kind of trail off and go to be able to pick up that loot. But it will cost you something because you're using more breaths to roll and move, but it will kind of cost you because you are going outside of the areas where you pick up different ingredients for your antidote. You can use more breaths to have to roll to continue to move all the way over there to these 4 corners, but it is worth it because if you get the chance to get over in this area, picking up these loot cards are very powerful. For instance, this one's Fortune Teller. These moments located across the land help you to see what others cannot. At the start of your next 5 turns, you may glance at the top card of any monster deck to discover what lies in wait. This insight will allow you to proceed confidently or wisely find a new path. So that's going to allow you to see, over 5 turns, what is going to be the monster that you might have to encounter. It might be that level 10 monster that's on the board somewhere, and you don't want to run into that because you basically have to roll a crit to be able to defeat that monster. So that's an example of a loot card. So we'll look at another one here. We got the Noble Steed. That's going to be right here. Our third one is going to be Instant Victory. And the artwork on these are great, too. I absolutely love the artwork on these cards. And the Sidekick, which is a lot of fun. It's a kind of an orc-type character that's a sidekick for you. Your sidekick will automatically defeat any monster you encounter that is level 5 or below. Also, you can sacrifice your sidekick against any monster level 6 or above, thus reducing that monster's level by 5. Once you sacrifice your sidekick, though, he is removed from the game. So some of these cards will be lasting effect. Some of them will have an effect that may only last a few rounds. Some of them may just be as soon as you use it, it's an immediate discard. So any loot cards you have left over, you're going to set those next to the board as well as unclaimed loot, and they're going to stay right there. The last thing you're going to see is each player in the game, and I've set this up as a 3-player game like I do most of my run-throughs. Each player per the color is going to get a deck of these 10 cards. And each one of these cards is going to have various different types of ingredients for the antidote you need to complete. And in a 3-player game, you would keep 4 of these cards. So you would have 4 areas that you need to traverse to around the board to collect a part of your antidote. So this one's the Eye of Cyclops. And the Eye of Cyclops is around this board right here. So you would have to travel to this location to get a part of an ingredient from the Eye of Cyclops. Here's another one, Feather of the Eagle. There's Flower of Field. So, and you'll find each one of these around this board. So each character is going to get these 10 cards. You're going to shuffle those up, and you're going to draw 4 in a 3-player game. So 4 for that player. We'll get 4 for this player, and 4 for our blue player here. And then what you're going to do is everyone's going to flip those cards over. You do not need to keep those cards secret. It is at all times accessible to any player to know who has what. And these cards kind of have a top and a bottom. So you're going to want to have them faced up initially. That is the part that's sort of ghosted out, has the name, and the bottle is empty. There's a little image of the bottle on there, and it's empty. Then once you acquire that, you're going to flip that over and have that now facing up to show that you've acquired that part of the antidotes. That way it's very clear to everybody where each player sits. So we're just going to go ahead and lay these cards out for each one of these players with that empty bottle side up. And then each player will get these meddling cards. And these are sort of the cards that you will be able to use on your turn or on other people's turns. So these are kind of those cards that are fun when it's, okay, I'm going for the win. I got everything I need. I've made it to town. And then it's like, oh, no, you don't. Boom. And now they got to go back so many spaces, or they might have to re-encounter a monster that they just defeated. So these are kind of the cards that stop other players from doing what they want to do. Some of these even allow you to, take antidote from people, have to people lose the antidote component that they just acquired. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen. So these are cards that you are going to keep secret and you're going to keep in your hand. Make sure that other people don't see these, because these are kind of the secrets that you're going to nail people with as you play the game. Last little bits we're going to have here, obviously the pawns that are on the board. Each player's pawn is going to start in the center here and then venture out. You can start to venture this way or this way or this way or this way. There's lots of different ways that you can start to kind of venture out on the board, and that's going to be depending on which ingredients you actually need for your antidote, maybe which path you want to start down. So it's completely up to you as a player. We'll obviously have the pawns right here that represent each one of the colors corresponds to your player color that represents the breaths that you'll have available to you in the game. I will also mention that these meddling cards can be cashed in at any point for an immediate 5 breaths back. So these really do play kind of two functions. One, it's kind of got the gotcha function to stop someone else from being able to make it around the board a certain way. Or this will offer you up to 20 breaths if you hang on to all 4 of these cards over the course of the game. That's 20 breaths, so maybe your strategy is, I'm not going to use any of these, I'm just going to hang on to them and cash them in for breaths, because you will lose breath every time you move, every time you battle, and even time you battle another player, and you can lose up to 5 breaths immediately if you battle another player and you lose. So you do want to keep, some of these in hand specifically for that over the course of the game as well. We do have our 2 dice, one, the white for movement, this is a d6, and the black one here is a d10, and it is used for combat. And then there's one other little gray token here, which is the debris token, which will come into play maybe over the course of the game based on cards that are in the game, and that just sort of blocks other people's, path around the board, but that may not come into play. It's only if there's a certain card that's played. So you do want to have that accessible to all players and ready to go. So at this point, we are ready to start the game. Each player has their ingredients out here that they'll need for their antidote, as well as their meddling cards. All the loot cards have been put out on the 4 corners of the board, and all the monster cards have been put out and ready to go. So what we'll do here is we'll look at the cards, and we'll start with the blue player, let's say, and they've got a disoriented, a quicksand, a trapped. The doctor is out. I think for the blue player, I'm going to trace around this way and get to this wing of bat. That's one of the components that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that die, and I get up a 1. So I am infamous for rolling 1s on d6s, so I don't know how many rounds we're going to have to play here, but I'll do my best. So now we're going to move up to the green player here, and that did cost me 1 breath to be able to make that movement. Now we're going to move on to the green player. So we're going to look here at the cards, see if there's anything we want to use. Not just yet. None of these cards have got that fallen debris. We're going to hang on to that one. Remember that we've got that, but nothing right now since it's so early in the game. So we're going to go ahead and roll that die, and we get 3. So we're going to head and go use 1 breath. And for green, they need to get... Let's see here. Make sure that they are all empty. They need to get feather, beaver, snow of mountaintop, and bone grave. Let's see here. Snow and feather. Okay, so look at this. So both of them are on this side of the board. So I think I'm going to have green kind of start from here and do 1, 2, 3. So that's green's turn. They did use the 1 breath to make that movement. And now we're going to go to purples. Let's check the purples cards really quick. Let's see. I can see that. Allows me to borrow another player's reward card. Lose control. Mess somebody else up. Unforeseen enemy. No, none of these cards do I want to use right now. I'm going to go ahead and roll for that purple player and a 2. Now, let's look at the purple and let's see here what we're looking for. We go for the bone of graveyard, tooth of the beaver, mountaintop, or the paw of bear. Well, we got the bear paw here. We've got the, where's our mountain? Snow of mountaintop over here. Let's see, wing of bat. We don't have the wing of bat for that player. Let's go for the Bone Graveyard for the purple player. So we're going to go ahead here and do 1, 2. We will move that there for 1 breath. Now we are on to round 2. So we'll start again with the blue player, and we'll go ahead and roll, and we get a 3, which is 1, 2, 3. Just 1 from being able to fight a monster, and we do have to use 1 breath for that. We'll now go to the green player. We'll roll that 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we did land on one of the orange spots with the forward arrow, so we will have to encounter a monster here for the green player. So let's go ahead and see what we got. Ooh, ouch. All right, and we do need to move for that turn. We'll move the green player up. We've got a level 9. Ooh, Sorceress of the Abyss. A demon from the depths of the darkest dimensions. This dealer of destruction pollutes day and night and corrupts life with death. She will unsheathe your soul. All right, there is a win condition on this one. If victorious, you discover the Scene Stone. So if we're able to defeat this monster, we will get a Scene Stone, which will come from our drop deck right over here. It's a level 9. Now remember, every time that you go into combat against this monster, you do have to use a breath. So for the first round, we'll go ahead and just kind of track this. Okay, 4. Oh, it's not going to do it. That's 1. 2, that's a 7. Come on. 3, that's a 6. 4, that's a 5. And there's the crit. So we use 5 breaths to be able to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we were able to defeat that monster, and we will get this special item. So it is the Scene Stone. We'll put that right at the bottom there, face up. So let's go here to our deck, and then let's see what the Scene Stone will give us. So we'll look through here, and Scene Stone. That is now the green player's, and the green player now has that card. So let's read it here and see if it's a card that is going to stay in play, if it's something that maybe someone else might even be able to use if they have a card to be able to use this. So Scene Stone. If victorious, you gain the Sorceress of the Abyss Scene Stone and may redo 1 movement roll each turn for the remainder of the game. Without penalty, move the number of spaces of the higher roll. So you will be able to re-roll the die. Let's say you got a 4 and you're like, you know what, I want that 6. You can re-roll, try to get that crit. If you don't, you can take the 4. So it doesn't sound per here that you have to take the roll of the second, the second roll on the die. You can take whichever roll of the 2 are the highest. That's awesome. So I do have that card now. That is the green player's card, and that will be active at all times. Now, the green player's turn is over. If they did have any other movement, they would be able to retreat from that monster if they ran into some problems, but you have to have extra movement left, or they would be able to continue their movement on to another location. But it was 4. I landed right on that. I needed 4. Okay, that was the green player's turn. It is now the purple player's turn. We're going to go ahead and move for the movement and a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're now going to do a counter a monster with the purple player. And this is just a measly level 2 dandelion. This should be easy. It's not often that a lion's sense of fashion and culture overshadows its ferocity. But this fine furry feline is one sophisticated prowler. Careful or you'll be slain. Meow. Okay, so I'll never do that again, promise. Meow. So for this is a level 2. We are going to take the first here hit for the fight, and we get a 6, which that's a kill. There is no drop on this one because it's just a level 2, so it doesn't really get us anything. So we did defeat that, and that was perfectly 5 to land there. So we are now right there. All right, we are now back to the blue player. So we'll move the blue player's token up once for this roll movement, and we do have 4. Now we do have to stop as soon as we get to one of these areas. So that is 1, which leaves 3 for us still to move. So I could use those 3 to back off of this monster in what we call retreat if I ran into an issue with that monster. Or after I defeat that monster, I can use it to then move on throughout the board. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what we got here. Oh, no, you got to be kidding me. It's the level 10 Dragon Flant. So it's like a elephant dragon, I guess. Oh, this is not good. So this is one of the hardest monsters that's in the game. I can't believe we ran into this. So this is a beast beyond memory, born at the dawn of evil, wielding its impenetrable girth. Okay, and fiery breath. This creature has demolished every being it has ever encountered. Good luck. Bear, impenetrable girth is what we're going up against. What do you think, buddy? I know. So, all right. So, if victorious, you fashion the Dragon Wing Glider. Okay, so it's got to be an awesome weapon because this is a level 10. All right. So let's do it here. And I'm going to go for this one until we hit the crit. Let's check our blue player, see if we've got anything that might help. No, 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 no. Nothing here will help. These are all cards against other players. So we're going to go ahead and roll. We get a 7. That's 1. 5, 2. And there's the crit on 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 breaths. That wasn't bad at all. We have defeated one of the hardest monsters in the game, and we do get the Dragon Wing Glider. So we'll put that right here. We will go to our drop cards, and then we will find the Dragon Wing Glider, and I'll tell you what that does. Here it is here. So we now have the Dragon Wing Glider, and if victorious, you fashion a glider from the Dragonfence massive wings. You can now move double the spaces you roll on the movement die for the rest of the game. Wow. Okay. So the blue player just got an awesome item. I can now move double whatever I roll. So if I crit, I can move up to 12 spaces, which is going to hugely pay off for this player. So our green player that has the debris to block is really going to be wanting to use that against this blue player later in the game. Guarantee it. All right, now we're going to the green player. So we're going to go ahead and move that for the roll. And I just got 1. Now, I don't have to fight the monster again by moving there or there because that arrow is going against and I'm moving this way. So the green player is going towards to try to get this Feather of Eagle. So I'm just going to go 1 and that's it. I'm not going to be able to get that component for my antidote and that green player's turn is over. We'll now go to the purple player and I'll go ahead and roll. Let's move that purple player for the roll and I got 4. So the purple does, I believe, need the Bone of Graveyard. So we are going to go 1, 2, 3. And as soon as I land there, I now, for the purple player, can turn over the Bone of Graveyard to the symbol that shows that I've now got that component of the antidote. So I just kind of flip that card upside down, and now it's clear to me and all the rest of the players that I have that part of the antidote. And I was here, so I went 1, 2, 3. I do have 4 movement, so I'm just going to go ahead and move right back there for 4. And that would be the purple player's turn. We are now going to go back to the blue player. And remember, the blue player has got double on the die rolls. So we'll move this out of the way here. And the blue player is needing to go to, what are we trying to get here? Do we need the paw? We do. So let's go for the paw. All right. And a 2. That means I will get to move 4. So 1, 2, 3. I will now pick up the paw of bear ingredient. Pull that over. You do remember I have 1 more movement, so I will go 1 to end that, and we do need to move that there for the move. That's the blue player's turn. Now we're back to the green player, and the green player is about ready to get one of their antidote components. 4. So 1, 2. And what I think I'll do is I'm going to have to move back and then battle a monster. So we're going to go, let's see here. Does the green player need the Wing of Bat? It does not. Okay. One thing that I did forget to mention was on this board, there are a couple spots you'll see here with these blue marks, and there's a river. So if you do get to one of those spots, you can take that river all the way to another edge of the board. So you can take that river to one edge of the board to the other, but it doesn't really benefit me here because the green player does not need the Wing of Bat. Dust of Pit. No, it doesn't need that either. Tooth of Beaver is all the way down here. Well, we do have the bear paw, so maybe I'll kind of head towards back that bear paw. So I'm going to go ahead and get the feather ingredient here because I have made it there. Turn that over. And I rolled 4, and that was 1, 2, and I have 2 more, so I'm going to go 1, 2. I'm now going to have to combat again for the green player. And I don't think I moved my breath for the movement. So now we're going to come here, and it's a hungry ogress. So it's a level 7. Her blood-stained lips and anatomy scattered rags display her instainable appetite. Do not cross her path, for it is her time to feed. All right, so that is a level 7. We're going to set that right there, and we're going to go for the roll. So I already moved for the movement. Now what we're going to do is, I got a crit. Nice. Okay, so just took 1 round to beat that, and there is no drop on that one. So we'll just take that, and we are done. That was our 4 movement. So let's go ahead and wrap up here with our last move, and we'll use the purple player here, and we'll go ahead and roll. It rolls a 4. Now, just to show here, what we may want to do is look at a couple cards here that we have, that other players have. They may want to play. So now I'm going to wait and see where this player ends up going. So there's a 4. Well, the first thing we're going to have to do with the purple is 1 right here. We're going to have 3 movement left over, and we're going to have to fight, and that's for that movement. We're going to have to fight one of these beasts. And we got a level 5 Gorean Boar with tusks as thick as a sword's hilt, and as sharp as a warrior's spear. This burly beast can skewer his adversaries with a mere thrust of his snout. And that is a brutal Gorean boar. Not a bear, a boar. So now what we're going to do is we're going to roll to defeat it. It's level 5, so we need a 5 or greater. And we get a 3, that's 1. 3, that's 2. 1, that's 3. 9. There we go, on the 4th one. So purple is going to need to move 1, 2, 3, 4 breaths to be able to defeat this animal. And we do have 3 movement left over. And the purple player, let's see here, does need the, what else do we need? The eye, do we need the eye? No. Snow, bear paw, and the beaver tooth. So snow's over here, bear paw's over here. And where is our beaver tooth is over here. Okay, so I'm actually going to go, I think I'm going to go this way. Maybe I might go for this instant victory. This sounds like a really good card. What's this do for us? Play this card once against any monster and defeat it instantly. Also collect any bonuses or drops that defeated monsters may leave behind. So, you know what? I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3. And that's where I'm going to go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my cards. So, let's check out and see what the green player has here. Nothing. I think I'm going to play this right here just to make it a little bit harder. So the green player is going to decide to play this Condition Worsens. And they're actually going to play this against the blue player. And they're just going to play this right now. And it says, select a player whose condition you'd like to see worsen. Now that player must collect an additional ingredient of your choosing in order to be cured. Okay, so what you need to do here is you need to choose another ingredient of your choosing. So, taking that the blue player has this card where they can move double whatever is rolled on this for the rest of their game, let's really make them have to collect a lot more. So we look here, you got the wing of the bat. Okay, so how about we also make them collect the grass of meadow down here before they are able to... So they would have to collect 5 now. And that card would just be played against the blue player and then discarded. So what you would do is you would go back to your cards, you'd pick out the grass of meadow ingredient, and then the blue player would have that one as well. So now the blue player would have to complete 5 components to complete their antidote, whereas everybody else was just having 4, unless that got changed over the course of the game with some of these meddling cards. So you can kind of see how the game plays out there and how you move around the board. You go for components of your antidote, you run in and fight monsters, and really they're just to kind of slow you down as you're moving through the board. And you have to really at all times balance those breaths that you're taking when you're doing combat and you're doing movement. Remember, you can always cash these cards in for up to 5 breaths back. So again, you may not want to blow through all of these and use them. You may want to hang on to a couple of them, maybe 2, just to give yourself that buffer of the breaths that you'll need if you start to run out. And you may think, you went through a few rounds there pretty quickly, and you really haven't moved too far on the track. Well, I think I've gotten kind of lucky so far, and again, this is very early game. Now, we've only got, a couple players that have one bit, or I think all three players have one component of their antidote. Well, they need 3 more, and the blue player is now going to need 4 more, so we got a lot of gameplay still to go in this game. So that's Quest for the Antidote. Again, remember we're doing the giveaway on this one. Hit that subscribe button, comment below to get a chance to get a free copy that will be shipped to you of this game. And, again, you can tell me what you think in the comments below. I do like this game. Again, it's a very light quester. I'm glad Upper Deck picked this one up, and look for it at Gen Con. And I think they're going to do pretty well with this game because it is a lot of fun and it comes at a good price point. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time. Westfall! Moving on the fence.